Okay, this is the Salt Lake City Human Rights Commission regular meeting for Tuesday, November 14th. We are starting at 5:35 p.m. to do roll call quickly. I'll start with myself, then I'll go around the table and then go to the people online. I am Jason Wessel. I am the chair and I represent District 1.
Jenny Mayer Glenn, District 5.
David Lita, District 6.
Okay, so then can we have Pamela, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Pamela Silberman, at-large member.
And Everett?
Everett Bacon, at-large member from Accessibility and Disability Commission.
Thank you, Everett. Did you get all the materials to yourself in advance?
I did. I read through the nominations. I think we just have 2 categories, if I read that correctly.
I think we have 3, but one is youth, one is individual, and the third is organizations.
Oh, okay, I may have missed the organization one, so I'll go back and look at it while we're talking.
Yeah, I actually entered 4 categories. There's emerging, under 18, emerging, over 18, individual, and community.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the emerging leadership is broken up so that we can award accordingly. But it's still one award, like it's still emerging leader.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's still one category.
We
We're not giving 2 awards, one for under 18.
We're giving,
Yeah, we are
we're
giving
giving 2
2.
awards per category though. So 2 people,
2 people in each category?
yes.
Oh.
The emerging leaders just broken up specifically under 18 for 1 award and over 18.
I see. Is that also true for the community award?
Super good.
That's not broke, we're just picking, you guys are just picking 2 people.
So we're giving out a total of 6 awards.
Yes,
Got it.
yes. And Commissioner Terry joins us too online.
All right, excellent. We at the others at the table, staff, you want to give for the record?
Yes, Michelle Mooney, Equity Manager, Salt Lake City Mayor's Office.
Maria Romero, Executive Assistant.
All right, so we're in welcome Commissioner recognition. What is that?
Oh, okay, I wanted to recognize Commissioner Terry. Commissioner Terry got recognized in the Utah Business Magazine for 20 in their 20s. I think I said that right. So congratulations to you on that. And then I did want to say farewell to our outgoing commissioners, our Commissioner Chair and Vice Chair Jason Wessel, and Vice Chair Esther Stoll. So hopefully she can join with us a little later. But we do thank you for your years of service, and you will get your certificate once it's signed, so I will mail it to you guys.
Also point out Esther Stoll, former chair from last year. And I'll take a moment while we're at this point. I'm going to donate this to the Human Rights Commission. Something that's been very useful in the 8 years I've been here. It's a giant tome of a book called International Human Rights in Context. It's basically a reference guide to the history of international human rights. Basically, when I had to look up the details for CEDAW to present it to the city council, you can find everything ever said about CEDAW in this. It does the same about by topic, by organization, so. I don't
Thank
know,
you very much, Jason. That's very generous of you. Thank you. When was it published?
No idea. I've had it for about 20 years, so.
Oh, I don't know if it's been updated.
It's probably been updated, but I don't have the updated copy, and that one cost me a long time ago. So anyway, if there's a place to store it, I'd appreciate it if you guys just keep it handy, and it's a good reference, good for reference material. Okay, so you said goodbye to me, so I can go now, right?
Not until after the end of the year.
Yes,
This
the
is
end
a
of the year.
2000 publication, so I bet it's been updated.
I'm sure it has. It doesn't mean that the international.
No, the information doesn't ever get stale.
All right, so we got to approve and adopt the minutes. Hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to look at the minutes that were sent out. Entertain a motion to adopt the minutes.
Also move.
Okay, that's been moved by Commissioner Lita.
I'll second.
All right, Commissioner Mayor Glenn has seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody
Aye.
opposed? Okay, I don't see anybody opposed. We're gonna rule that that motion passes unanimously. Brings us to public comment. We do not have any members of the public in the room. Are there members of the public online?
Yes, we have Nancy Cantor, from the League of Women Voters. She's just an observer. Nancy, did you want to say anything today?
No, I don't have anything to say, but thanks for the chance.
All right, well, welcome Nancy.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so that'll take us to item number 4 on the agenda, Human Rights Day. Michelle is going to give us an update on Human Rights Day, and we're going to then review and vote on the nominations at the end. We have 15 minutes to discuss them as well, if anybody wishes to discuss the nominations.
So just the update, it's going in the right direction. For Human Rights Day, we're all set. We have a total of 131 RSVPs. That's including you all too and the mayor's staff, so that's great. We had probably 86 of them were from the community. And each of those 86 RSVPs had at least 2 to 3 people on their RSVP as well. So we look forward to a great event. Myself and Ashley Cleveland, the Deputy Director of Community Outreach, has been working with the panelists. Ashley Cleveland will be moderating the panel from our office. So we will be having one more meeting with the panel just to prepare them on the questions next Wednesday. And that will be all ready to go, and then after today, the awards will be final, so I can go ahead and give the names to Benson's trophies. They already got the awards printed, all they have to do is get the names on it. So I asked them this a while ago, so they're waiting on these names and I can get them.
Michelle, can I ask a question?
Yes.
When you say the panelists, are you talking about the organizing committee, or are you talking about a presentation during
So
the event?
the community panel that we're having on Human Rights Day, so
Oh, okay,
Yes.
it's different than we did last year.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, well, it's just that component. We're also set to show the hate crimes PSA there. That would be a good place to show that, just as the United Jewish Federation is helping with those efforts to advocate for hate crimes in Salt Lake City. And then the performers, we have 2 performers. One will be a pianist and kind of spoken word with that. And then the second group is a Brazilian dance group. So I will be going to the Gallivan Center with one of my colleagues, Chris Macias. We met him last month. He's gonna DJ for us as well. He DJs on the side. So we're gonna go look at spacing and make sure with all the tables we have going on that it'll still be able to fill, roomy in there. It's spacious. I just can't. He's gonna come and help me and make sure we have that. So, and then the last loose ends is tying, basically making sure that the funds have been received. So Commissioner Lita's philanthropic fund, it has been, you sent me that email, but they're checking on our end that it was received accordingly. I'm sure it is, but we need to buy stuff this week, so Maria and I will work on that. But everything else is going smoothly.
What about Zions Bank? Did they come through with some money?
So they never got back to me, and I've been emailing, I emailed twice last week. Today, I called the director, he's the vice president, Robert Brendan. And they had just had a meeting, but I don't know what's kind of going on. There's no status update, so I just wanna know, is it a no or is it a yes? I just wanna be clear on what it is, but the law firm also, the contact there, I followed up last week and I haven't heard. So I'm checking with Sarah if maybe funds were received without me knowing, so I'm trying to see where it went. But either way, we're gonna purchase.
So how many commitments, how much in dollars do we have committed for the program? Whether you can find the money or not, I know there are commitments,
Yeah, 7,500,
7,500, we were
Yeah.
hoping for 10.
right, and the 5,000 is from the mayor's budget, or
Right,
from the,
so if Zions comes through,
that would,
we should, And are we gonna be able to make 7,500 work if
Yeah.
Zions doesn't come through?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking, because there's easy things that can just be, there's ways for that. Like, the venue's the most expensive thing, and the food. So those combined, but the awards, I already have the price, and it's the same price as last year. And then decorations, we can shop fairly cheap for those kinds of things and drinks, so.
We've got 130 RSVPs. We just lock the door and not let anybody out until they pony up.
So yes, I will keep you all updated. I hope I hear back from Zions Bank. It's kind of weird, I guess. Cause I just wanna, what is the update?
Well, we submitted our request a bit late, right?
Well, it was submitted in August. It just was not received by them until October because there was, our grant officer put, the email was Zions Bank and it was like at Zions Bank. So there's only one bank, I guess, if that makes sense. Like it shouldn't say bank twice.
Well, they didn't receive it until October, so that's the
Yeah,
That's the problem.
right. But it was on their agenda for the October. I caught it in time where it was on their agenda.
So they considered it. You don't know.
Yes, they were
you
still
don't know the
gonna-
outcome.
Yeah, they were still gonna consider it and they said we should have received the call. It's weird because the woman in charge is in and out of office. Like I get her voicemail right away, so I think she might be out of office again. But still, I have not got anything, like zero communication.
Okay.
Is there anything you need from us on that front?
I think we're good. I will probably assign you all unless you all wanna choose and figure that out. Who I would hope that the commissioners would present the awards. So that's where your big role is.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, everyone RSVP'd, I can double check and there's 6 awards. And if there's a commissioner or two who, I already know Commissioner Bacon won't be able to attend. He let me know, he has a commitment that day. So there's 7, if all 7, then we can figure out roles, but presentation of awards is like the main thing I want.
Right. Well, and I'm sure if one or more of us can't attend, somebody can pick up an extra award.
Yes,
I think we'll be fine on that.
but that's your big role.
Do you want us to author some statement concerning the nominees, which are gonna be based mostly on the material in the nomination forms, or?
So
What,
in the past, there's a bio for them, it's in the program. And I have taken the person aside before the everything begins and asked them what do they want me to say, how to pronounce everything correctly. Just take an opportunity to speak to the person and.
Yeah, that's what I did last year.
Yeah, it's-
It worked fine.
cause I can have them come early, I will let these people know that they won the award. And they will be able to submit a guest list of themselves, that's why the RSVPs are, it's open, but I don't think we're making sure that we reserve spots for cause a lot of these names weren't already registered. Does that make sense? And we still wanna give them an opportunity, hey, you're getting this award, did you wanna add anybody to your guest list to come?
Right.
So,
That's specifically what we say at the awards presentation. I think we can go from the bios that are gonna be in the
yes,
program.
those will be sent to me, headshots, all of that will go into marketing material too. So I'll get all that information as soon as, it's ranked choice, so I need to actually spend time going through your responses and collecting the ones online. Because their votes count as long as they're in this meeting. So,
That's a lot to do in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
no, I'm trying to we need to get the awards printed, I need to give them names by the end of the week, if that.
Okay,
I
so
need to turn this around by tomorrow, probably.
Pamela and Everett, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I think I'm good. I just wanted to know, if there's anything you need us to do in advance of the event or on the day of, aside from, like you mentioned, giving out the awards, is there anything you need from us to help make sure this goes off well?
Yeah, I would love for you all, if you can, be there early. My office, the equity and inclusion team will be there early and I'll probably pull some other people from my office, but if you all can get there a little early, that would be helpful. And just to be there to like mingle and greet the guests, just in case I'm busy, just trying to make sure everything's going as planned.
What time do you expect? Or are you asking?
What would you
Well, we're
like?
gonna be there at 8 AM, that's when we have the
8?
Galvin booked,
How
but you all can, yeah,
about if we're there by 10:30? Isn't it start at 11?
yeah.
Okay.
And it'll, even from 11 to 11:30, it's still just getting guests. That time is, we all know, in the BIPOC community, sometimes we need to be on time, so I'm like, that 11 to 11:30 is like a mingle networking kind of, hopefully people come at the time because they know it's gonna start.
So the ask is for us to be there by about 10:30 if we can.
Yeah, if you can come, like I said, we will be here to set up, but if you're asking what I would need, the day of is all the full cook, everything.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
So-
unfortunately, I've already communicated that I'm not going, out of town, I'm in Baltimore that weekend. So I'm sorry, I won't be able to be there.
No worries, you'll be missed. I think there'll be a video or something of it, that they
Oh,
will be able
yes,
to listen to if, once it's produced, make sure you get a copy.
it'll go on YouTube through our SLC TV media, I did book them as well, so that is a great update.
Okay, so, anything else from the update, or should we go into, review and discussing the nominations?
Yeah, I think just for this, how do you see this review going? Just because we have a lot today, so.
I don't think we're gonna be able to get through like individual one at a time, but if anybody has questions or concerns they wanna bring up, I would.
Okay,
I would
as
say
you're
that-
going through it individually.
I have a question. Do we have any more information about these candidates other than what's in this form?
No. Cause the form is what yeah.
Okay.
We can talk about that for next year, but I felt like for the most part, this was pretty neat.
And I had a question. I believe Luna Benuri has already received this award before.
We can check, I didn't see her name before, so,
I
We
seem
only
to
have-
recall that was the first time I'd ever met her, or no, maybe she did receive this award.
yeah, there's a lot of different.
She received a grant, I think, that we gave for training, okay.
That's a good point though, Jason. We ought to certainly maintain a list.
Oh, I
We do.
know, we have a list.
Awardees, so we don't give awards twice. And I think it's a good idea that we keep a list of nominees, even if they're not selected for an award, so that they might be considered for future years.
We discussed that in,
Yeah.
the chair and vice chair's meeting, there was some nominees, because also we thought it would be a good place to curate future members of this
Example.
committee.
Yeah, no doubt.
Anyway, no, I remember that we used to
No.
give a training and grant award. I believe Luna Benuri was one of the last people who received it from us. That's where I got my wires crossed. Is there a conflict of interest with her being a former member of this commission receiving an award?
No.
Okay.
A conflict of interest would be if any of you sitting, so on this commission now, because you guys are the body that are voting on it.
That's wasn't sure, because
I would not, I've already vetted this ballot, just so you all know, so this is, when I was working on it, I've already vetted
Okay, I just.
everything that we need to vet.
And then the final question I had before, with Oksana Omel, or whatever, on here twice. I assume that's two different nominations, but
Yes, so
Do
some
we-
people have more than one nomination, and you'll see that, so their second bubble is just another blurb from someone else.
we need to make sure that we don't vote for the same person twice.
Well, I was hoping that you wouldn't, because I combined their name,
Okay,
it's just two different,
all right, so
and the
before
person
I,
won't
wait,
win,
wait,
the
wait.
person won't win twice.
She's in here for two different categories. So,
Okay, did we all wanna just?
I saw her on the third page, and then I saw her again later.
yeah, so I think she's in here for emerging leader over 18. And she's also in for the individual award.
Okay.
So the vote is up to you guys. This, I mean, I can't verify where these fit, So I kept them in, whatever the nominations say, they were two separate forms.
All right,
I went through each form by itself,
understood.
so
I just wanted to make sure.
if
that
you
we-
think that blurb needs more emerging, then vote for how you feel.
Well, I mean,
Based on-
theoretically, she could receive 2 awards. But
Michelle, could you explain how the voting's gonna work? I'm not really clear, and that might help us in terms of if somebody's in multiple categories, we understand how the voting will work and the tabulation and everything.
Okay, so the voting will work just by what you all feel based on the response that was written, right? That's all we have here. Like last year, it was, everyone just chose one person, or well, everybody chose, yeah, it was one person, right? Jason?
Everybody chose the person they nominated.
They nominated, which this year, yeah, so.
it's way different.
This year there was, which that's probably something we need to establish, is maybe the commission shouldn't nominate anybody because you all do vote. So I don't know, we didn't put that into place, but I don't think I saw many nominations from you guys, if at all, maybe one. So all of these are really from.
I did nominate, there's one nomination I submitted, yes.
Okay, well, that's fine, but the point is, what I'm saying is like, this is like all community, like, for the most part, this is not commissions, like. You should have saw years past, it was the commission nominating the bulk of the people, this was not it.
And we chose to go to ranked choice voting to
Yes.
sidestep the problem where we had the votes diffuse between people that you nominated versus who I nominated, so.
Right.
This is the first year we've ever done ranked choice voting. We want to see how this goes. If it feels fair, I guess is the better word for it.
Yeah, so what I envisioned is, okay, so for nominating, emerging leader under 18, there's 3 choices. Oh, wait, 4 choices. So you just put 1, 2, 3, 4, which one being your top pick, all the way down the scale to 4 being probably your last pick.
Can I ask a couple of questions? So one is, of these under 18 emerging leaders, both Carly Thompson and Malika Bennett are, they have in here, like the Providence Hall is located in Harriman. And for Carly Thompson, Hillcrest is located on 5300 South. So I'm just wondering, is that something that we should take into account, particularly because the question is, how are they advancing rights in Salt Lake City?
Right, so you don't have to live in Salt Lake City to still advance rights here, like,
Okay,
does that make sense? Like, I think the organization that won last year, Voices for Utah Children, they're not in,
they're in Salt Lake.
are they in Salt Lake City?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Well, oh, no,
but I-
sorry,
but I-
CU is in West Valley.
Yeah.
Technically, and they still won the award because of the impact of,
Yes.
just because of the impact they have on Salt Lake City.
Uh-huh.
And in the application itself, if we wanted to review that as well, hello. I think I did say you do not have to be, I have to look at the,
And that's great, I guess really it's more like a philosophical question, I guess, is thinking about, because in here it talks about the work that they've been doing in those 2 locations at their schools, and their schools aren't located in Salt Lake. So I am fine whichever way we kind of decide, but I think we just need to know that that's.
if you all feel like you cannot cast a vote, we all know that, I hope we all know this, right? You do not feel like you have to vote for anyone on this. What we all just want to do today is
So let's,
get some names.
Okay.
so let's just have it, you put that out there for the rest of us to be
Yep,
aware that they're,
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're most of the bulk of their work may not be in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
So can I ask a question and then make a comment? The first the question is, do we have to vote? So you said, for example, in that first category, there are 4 people. Do we have to vote 1, 2, 3, 4? Or if we just want to vote for 2 of them, do we vote like 1, 2? Or do we have to vote for rank everybody that's been nominated? That's my question.
You're gonna make Michelle's life so much more difficult.
Okay, I just haven't done this before, so like when you do ranked choice voting on your ballot, right, you don't have to vote for certain people, right? When with the election we just had, you could just pick one person, so that's why I'm trying to understand how you want this to work, Michelle.
It's not how I want it to work, it's really, I mean, I think ranked choice came from, I don't remember,
I
but one of you commissioners brought up ranked choice.
I
So,
just
yeah.
want instructions. I just want somebody to tell me how to do it so that I
So
know.
what
that
you're
I'm-
doing is reading
Michelle,
this.
can I comment?
Yes,
Okay.
I think it's just
Here's
more
my
complicated than
understanding,
it needs to be.
Pamela, you don't have to vote for every candidate. However, the candidate who gets the largest or the greatest number of first place votes will get nominated, will receive an award. If you don't vote for that person, right? I mean, let me put it this way. If if no candidate gets a majority, right, then the person with the lowest number of votes gets eliminated in ranked choice voting. And then let me see how you're gonna do this. And then the second person with the most votes would get allocated to the other candidates in true ranked choice voting. But we're not really doing it that way. What we're saying is the candidate who gets the greatest number of first place votes will receive an award. And then the next person with the largest number of first place votes will receive an award as well in the categories where we're giving 2 awards.
Well, then in that case, with the way you're explaining it, David, we should only vote for our first choice candidate because you're saying it's based on who gets the most first choice, then the second person who gets the most first choice. If I put number 4, if I put somebody as number 4, that person's never going to be considered. So that's why I'm clarifying how this works because the way you're explaining it, it's based on our first choices, not our second, third, or fourth choices.
Okay, let me explain this, because I actually got to see the ballots on the other end. I don't think any of the commissioners got to see it because Moana and I collected it and we counted it. What happened last year is there was only like one vote for, I think the largest category, the organizations, there was only like one vote for each. Like the votes were scattered based on, right, so there's 5 people in this space today. It's hard, right, with 5 votes, there's no way you all will vote, and it happened for that one. We just didn't know who to go next to. You know, it wasn't really, it was like inconclusive in a way, so, because I forgot how I have to look back at it, but you have to pick more than one person, because there's 2 awards per category.
So
So if it's easier for you, pick your top 3, your 1, your 2, and your 3rd, but I just rather see more options of your thought process. So if something happens, then I have your thought process behind it.
I believe that the Pamela's making a good point that it's not really ranked choice
Yeah.
voting the way that David's laying it out. However, I believe if there's a tie, that's where the number 2s would come in. Where then we would or Michelle would look and see who the pool of number 2 votes got the most, and then those would be attributed to the ties at the number 1 or the ties at the number, the 2 would get the most votes, whatever. And I think it makes sense. I'm just accusing myself now. So your number 2 choice would definitely apply if there's a tie.
Okay, that's
So
helpful, thank you. And then I just wanted to make a comment regarding Jenny's question around Salt Lake City specific. You know, obviously we can't change the nominations for this year, but we could think about for next year how we design the nomination form to be very clear with a question about, you know, how is this, like really being clear about that we're thinking about Salt Lake City and the impact that they have in Salt Lake City proper, if that's what we decide. Again, that they don't have to be resident in Salt Lake City or even based in Salt Lake City, but is their work impacting Salt Lake City in some way? That just might be something we think about for the nomination form for next year.
So it was in depth and said that. There was a big in depth, whether people read that or not, it was very much highlighted. It said Salt Lake City and almost, and I think
Yeah,
Commissioner
every
Vito provided
question, all the questions
all my
say.
bullets were, yes, but that blurb at the top, those bullets I had you review, I know Commissioner Vito did, because he provided feedback to add Salt Lake City in different areas that I didn't already have.
It says,
So the requirements do say that. So if it's inconclusive, don't stress yourselves about the vote, that's already, and should we still invite them to human rights day? Yes. So I wouldn't, if it's not fitting the requirements, that's an automatic, clearly it doesn't fit the requirements, so it's a no in my mind, or they wouldn't receive the award.
I'd like to say this is a unique problem that we've had of having multiple candidates to have to vet. A few times it's been pretty bare bones, but begging just for nominations. To have plenty of nominations to choose from is very refreshing.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think, I'd like to move that regardless of who is receiving the awards, that all of these nominees should receive a communication from the commission, complimenting them on what they've done, telling them that they were one of many candidates, and although we're disappointed we can't give awards to everyone, we want to encourage them to continue doing the good work that they're doing. In other words, something positive, even though they didn't get an award.
Sounds to me like David is volunteering to write up,
I
Write
can
us a
certainly,
letter.
I can certainly do that. I can certainly write a kind of letter that would, I think be, did I raise my hand? I didn't raise my hand. All right.
Okay, just
You're
really
making the
quickly, for
motion.
the two people online, Everett or Commissioner Bacon and Commissioner Silverman, please submit your ballots to me, before the end of this meeting, if that works. to be
Yeah, I
counted.
just grabbed my computer so I can do it while we're sitting here, yeah.
So I
Yes.
can't listen to you and listen to my computer at the same time. So if it would be help, I could go offline and rank it and then bring it back to you, or I could just call one of you and you could, I could just do it over the phone with you, either way. It doesn't, I can't listen to both at the same time.
Right, I understand, so what are you still,
I believe a reasonable accommodation would allow for Everett to submit his votes after the meeting.
yeah,
So you
Well,
don't have to
then,
be held.
don't you guys have to vote now though, while you're in the meeting? Then if I come
well,
after the
I
meeting,
still
then.
have to count everything, that's
Yeah.
the thing, I still have to go through, we aren't spending that time counting everything, we're kind of
Oh, okay.
already behind,
It's
so we
just-
have a large agenda.
Yeah, it's just because we have to submit them at the meeting. I think that a reasonable accommodation allows you to submit it late.
Okay, it does, but it doesn't get counted during the meeting and mine wouldn't
No.
hold anything up. Okay, good. Okay, I
No.
can do that.
So,
Okay,
I'd like to raise a point of order,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman. Because this is lengthy, right, and we only received them today. Maybe not everyone has had a chance to go through all of these candidates in any great detail. I propose that we change the order of the agenda and consider the draft position, and then hopefully, ask everyone to submit, everyone who's here in person, submit their ballots before they leave to you, Michelle, and then you can make the calculations, and everyone who's online can submit them to you in electronic format or whatever works for them sometime before the end of today. And so by midnight, you'll have everyone's ballot, and then you can make the calculations and you can just announce by email which candidates receive the awards.
Can I raise a question? Why do you need to have it by the end of the day?
Well, because Michelle needs to make these calculations.
No, I'm saying that why can't she make the calculations and get it to us later in the week?
Well, I think it would be appropriate to have a time period for the end of voting.
Yes, in the voting, yes. I was just saying that I don't think we need her to stay up all night to get us the results by the end of the day.
Oh, no,
Oh, no,
sometime
I didn't
tomorrow,
think that.
that's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
okay.
Sometime, or I
I'm just
guess
saying-
when convenient.
I guess if we move on with the rest of the agenda, like I will need your, not take there's not really time to do this on the side while moving on to the next thing.
No, that's right,
So how much
I
time-
think, to be fair to the candidates, all of us need to carefully consider how to rank them and make our vote.
I'm
And
missing.
I think you're gonna have to take a pause in the meeting right now to do that, or move on to another agenda item, and before the meeting is adjourned, go back to this item and let people study it for as long as they want, as long as they wanna stay here, I guess, and then submit their ballots to you.
I understand now what you're saying.
For those in person, so you're saying stay as long, so the in-person ones, how are you guys gonna get that to me?
So that,
I'm gonna give it to you before I leave.
if I can put that on pause for a moment, are we required to hold the vote while this meeting is in session? Or can we get it to you by,
Well, I think this is, I mean, Jason, you've been here longer, like, I don't know how you've done it in the past, I feel like this is just, I feel like it's a technical thing, do you know what I mean? This is what we did last year, so I'm doing it this year.
Well,
I don't
first of
know
all,
if
last
we
year,
voted,
we had fewer candidates, we made a vote, we submitted them at the end of the meeting, that was it.
but I'm saying it seemed like that was a process, that is what I'm saying, Commissioner. If that's not the process, I don't think by OPMA guidelines, there's some things you have to have in a public meeting. Do you all voting on this have
because
to be in a
it's,
public meeting? I don't
because it's a
think-
secret ballot, I don't think it requires us in a public meeting.
That's what
to
I'm
cast
saying.
our votes.
Like, if it's a policy change or something like those things need to happen in a public meeting.
Right.
But this, like I said, this is how it's always done. So if we all need time, then it's your commission, take it to a vote of how you, because that allows the other commissioners a chance to hopefully,
Well, I mean,
Vote.
we could certainly agree by motion to all of us submit our ballots in electronic format to you by a certain date, tomorrow, end of the week, whatever, you need a certain amount of time to prepare the awards. You tell us what your vote is, and we don't necessarily have to vote, I don't think, at this meeting. We can vote after the meeting and submit the votes to you.
I like the idea of flipping the agenda and doing this at the end to take the time that we need to read through them more carefully if we want to do that. So that you aren't left like how many days until, people get their votes to you, but that we try to get it done at the end of the meeting. And if we go over a little, then that's because you read slower than other people do.
Well, and the other question is, do we wanna talk about the candidates?
Yeah,
Do we wanna have a discussion about the merits of these candidates?
but do you wanna do that on a public meeting too? Cause there are,
Yeah, I mean, that's the issue.
you know what I mean, cause we're kind of discussing like, this is given through a form, right? I don't know. Like, I don't know if you guys all get what I'm saying.
Well-
I don't know if you all wanna say like, this is the names, these are the names in the candidate pool, and just, I don't know how you all want, I don't know if
But
that's.
I think it's a little sensitive, my
Yeah.
personal, to talk about these candidates, all of whom have done tremendous work, but to talk about them and try to rank them, say this is one person's better or not as worthy as another person, is probably not, in my opinion, appropriate for a public meeting.
Yeah, that's.
As long as we're all in agreement that the only information that we have and will have to make a decision is what's printed in this form, then we're all working from the same yardstick. And we can all make our decisions based on that and submit them to you, Michelle, whenever you tell us you need them.
And I'll point out, we also already have gone over if anybody has specific questions or concerns, like Commissioner Mayor Glenn brought up about being outside of Salt Lake City, and Pamela brought up about the process of the ranked choice voting. So we still are in the meeting where we can bring up specific concerns we have, but I think I am leaning towards what Commissioner Leda has said about it's probably better for us to be able to take the time to digest this and vet each one individually to a degree that we're comfortable with before we try to rush through and get all of our votes in by the next hour.
Right.
So
Or if you all need time, you can all get it to me by tomorrow.
that's what
Afternoon, if that works, if that will.
I think what we're leaning towards is being able to take these home and then submit it electronically to you tomorrow. Sorry, are there any objections online with that process?
No, not at all.
That's fine for me.
All right, so
Better,
do we want
it's
to?
better for me.
So let's say close of business tomorrow, have your votes submitted to Michelle electronically?
And Michelle, will you advise, Commissioner, Will Terry, would you advise Commissioner Terry that we're doing this so that he can submit his?
I'm letting all the commissioners know.
Mhm.
Because, I mean, with this, I guess we never thought we would run into this problem, so we really need everybody to submit something. 8 of you versus 5, and then if you all choose different, and I can see it being a difficult process.
Okay.
So I'm letting everybody know right now, that's not here.
So we'll put pause on this agenda item for a moment. We have guests who came in while we were mid-conversation, so if you guys would like to introduce yourselves.
Sorry, they told us to go to another room, so we got a little confused, it's why we were late. But I'm Kay McDowell, we both work at the Refugee Services Office. And I'm the Women's Empowerment Coordinator.
Yeah, I'm Evan Garefa. I also work at the Refugee Services Office. I'm the RCBO, which is Refugee Community-Based Organizations and Contracts Vista.
Welcome. But to give you some backstory, we have changed the process for how we determine who gets our Human Rights Day awards. And we're just trying to figure out how ranked choice voting works and who we're going to nominate. So that's what that confusing discussion is about.
Okay.
All right, so I think we're going to put the Human Rights Day awards on hold. Submit your votes to Michelle Mooney by close of business tomorrow. We will go back to agenda item number 3. We have time set aside at the beginning of the meeting for public comment. So if you guys wish to say anything or about your organization or.
We just heard about this. We wanted to support you guys because we heard about it through user, right? Send it over to us.
I think so,
And,
just kind of wanted to get involved more in the city politics.
yeah, we thought it would be interesting. Yeah, we're newcomers as well, so I'm from Virginia. We moved here 3 months ago. She's from Tennessee/Georgia.
Well, can you share with us a little bit about what your organization does and what your involvement is with the organization?
We work for the state, in the government office, it's with DWS, Department of Workforce Services, and so we're the Refugees Services branch of that department. And we help with refugee resettlement, but usually after they've been here for a little bit, we help them with jobs, with food stamps, and we work with certain organizations that help the communities become stronger and more independent.
Yeah, we have 18 funded organizations that are funded by the state. They're basically refugee-led, so they're helping their own communities, and we help oversee it. It's state money, so we do the grant obligations, the ledgers, expenses, things like that. But we are with AmeriCorps as well, so AmeriCorps is like the domestic Peace Corps side, if you're not familiar with it. And
I did my year as a Vista.
oh, you did it, okay. So we're really excited. We're 4 months in now, so we're getting our footing. We're happy to be here with you guys, so thank you for inviting us and having us.
Something you might be interested in, working with our language access coordinator over the last year, we were floating the idea of coming up with an online resource for refugees and people who have English as a second language. That's it's not completed, but it's a process that's underway. I'm sure that city staff could give you more detail on how far along that is, but it was an idea about trying to find not just like the normal government resources or city resources, but also things like grocery stores and translation services and entertainment that are culturally specific. So it was an idea that we came up with last summer that's, I think, still ongoing.
This is amazing.
Okay, so you ready to move on, or you look like you were still writing your message?
Oh, no.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So let's go to the review of the proclamation for Human Rights Day. Also, there's refreshments behind you if you'd like anything to eat or drink.
So I sent you all this in a Google document, because this may come later. So I'm not sure, I can show it on the screen, but will that give you
I've
enough?
reviewed it and edited it, and I'm gonna send everyone right now a post red line of it.
A post, are you on the Google document or no?
Huh?
The link,
No, I-
then all of us should see
I
your.
opened it, saved it, revised it, redlined it, and now I'm about to send back to everyone that received your email a proposal.
Okay. So is that how you all want to do it? Cause that means I wouldn't have those
Well,
edits.
This is just from me.
So he's sharing his proposed revisions to us, the way that he's
You guys,
revised
it's
it.
not, they're not, this is coming in a reply all to the email that you sent, which had the link in it.
Okay. I'm thinking maybe you all just send me your edits for that too. Cause then now, if you're sending edits now, that won't give, like if we have a discussion now, it won't be fair to Commissioner Bacon either, cause he would have to listen to. Does that make sense? Like, I just wanna be fair to
No, I
this too,
agree.
if you all
So
have.
can you read through
Sure,
the
I can-
proposed
I can
edits so
easily do that.
that, so Commissioner
I
Bacon
can
can?
easily do that, I can find it.
Hold up, let's pause for a moment. Commissioner Bacon, what do you
Yep.
suggest? How do you suggest that we go about this if we're discussing edits that you're not going to be able to access?
I mean, I'm fine with someone reading it. I have no edits that I want to submit, so, you know.
So will it be acceptable for Commissioner Lita to
Yep.
read his
Yep,
edits?
yep, totally acceptable.
Okay, my proposal is in the fourth whereas clause. We change declaration to universal declaration, because I think that's what you mean. Universal declaration, the fourth whereas previously said, the declaration includes 30 civil, cultural, economic, political, but I think what you're referring to is the universal declaration of human rights.
Yeah, I think it's just not, cause it's a continuing, like, right before it, the line right before it, I think that's why they didn't say the
Yeah,
declaration
just
again, but if you want that edit.
Just to avoid confusion with some other declaration.
All right, so then would it also require capitalization as in universal
Yeah, that's
declaration?
why now it's like,
I believe because you're talking about a very specific document that it probably would necessitate.
Well, it is capitalized. I said the universal declaration and I capitalized.
Oh, yours is?
and this is the proclamation that went out last year.
Okay, I'm
That's
just,
why it's this way, so if that is an edit you all wanna make, but it is a continuing sentence from the line right before it. It's.
Does it have to be the same as we did last year?
No, so that's why we're asking for like edits on that, so it's more grammatical. Like, do you guys have content edits too, cause that would be important. Like where it's marked in yellow, except for the HRC.
I didn't change anything that was marked in yellow.
Okay,
okay, I didn't know.
so how do you want it to read?
So
So the whole thing, the universal
Like the red line was
declaration.
just sent.
Okay, wait.
Did you get the email?
Yes, I'm just having the Zoom on and making sure, there's just a lot going on, that's why I also don't have time to review
Okay.
it. So if you sent it, I will just review it.
I can't look at a Word document on my phone.
Yeah, I
That's
know,
my
that's the problem with the phones.
That's why I'm saying we can allow time for you more.
Anyway, so that's the only change there, it's really a nit, it's not really a substantive change. The next whereas clause, at the end, it said, contributes to social progress and better standards of life. I would propose replacing the word life with living around the globe, so that it's better standards of living around the globe. Again, not a big substantive change, just a suggestion. And then in the next whereas clause, it says Salt Lake City is grateful for the work of our Human Rights Commission and all that they do. And instead of striving towards eliminating, I would say, just simplify all that they do to eliminate discrimination. And then I would add, and promote universal human rights in Salt Lake City. That's it.
Any discussion?
No.
Okay, without any discussion, then I believe that, we'll entertain a motion to adopt, Commissioner Rita's, suggested edits.
So
Is there a motion? All right, so Commissioner Bacon has made that motion. I believe, Commissioner Mayor Glenn has seconded it. That brings us into voting procedures. Does anybody wish to debate this vote? Not seeing anybody wishing to debate it, so we'll go straight into voting procedures. I think because this is substantive, we should do a roll call vote. So I'll vote in favor. Commissioner Mayor Glenn.
Aye, in favor.
David Lita, in favor.
Okay, that takes us on the line. Commissioner Bacon
Favor.
and Commissioner Silverman.
In favor.
All right, I'm going to rule that passes unanimously. So can we adopt Commissioner Lita's edits into the document? And I think that takes us out of that agenda item.
Is that all the edits you guys want, or you guys want time to review? Because that's,
Oh, sorry, I should have.
I mean, the highlighted ones are the ones that you were sort of asking, that's.
yeah, like that's where,
the
do you guys
add.
wanna highlight anything? Yes.
All right. So-
Grammatical is, it's just the content, right? We want people, what is a good proclamation, but like I said, you all can have time on this. This was sent to me just an hour before our meeting, so
And the mayor will she be there reading this?
I'm not sure on that. That's still tentative.
And if she is not there reading it, who will read it?
We are circulating around, who will do it.
Okay.
I think that it would probably be appropriate for Ashley Cleveland to read it then if the mayor's not there, but that.
Sorry if I missed.
Yeah, no, I don't, yeah, we're discussing that piece, we'll let you know on the final.
All right, so let me back up a moment. Does anybody have any other concerns about this document? Wish to suggest edits or discuss anything in further detail? Right, I'm not seeing any, so I think we can move on. All right, so that's a proclamation that takes us to the strategy planning session. This is where Michelle is going to review recommendations, goals, and priorities for the end of year report. That should be the other document that we received.
Okay. So reminders, everything sent to you all are drafts, so please do not share or send out.
I love how short it is. Just say that, I love how short it is.
Oh yeah, HRC is like,
It's awesome.
it's to the point, but, so we have all of your names here, I don't think anybody. Okay, I would have to put district, well, this is all of you guys, but I would probably have to add District 7 here and just say that it's vacant. For transparency there. And then the 2023 overview, what kinds of things do you all want to highlight? I can draft this, it will be just a paragraph, but I'm just opening the floor if there's anything you all wanna highlight in this report.
I would say that there'd be something specific about the driving in place.
Yeah.
Because that originated under, in cooperation with one of our former commission members. We had reports on it multiple times over the 2 years that it was being ushered through. Going back to before it was called Thrive in Place, it had some really long, clunky acronym of a name. But so I'd say that our involvement with Thrive in Place, even if it's just passive,
Okay. Shared involvement in driving fees.
Who was that commission?
Eva's Garcia.
Oh, I didn't know she was on the commission.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. That was a huge loss to Salt Lake. She left.
Right.
And then I'll highlight the Human Rights Day celebration since it is a larger scale as well. This doesn't have to be too lengthy, really. But this will be in a paragraph format, just so you see. And then anything else I will finalize with the chair and vice chair, unless you all submit anything else to me. But going down into review of 2023 goals and priorities, this is a copy and paste from everything the commission last year agreed to, because that's what we're reviewing. This is what was adopted and approved, so I did not change anything from this, if that makes sense. It came from the 2022 report because this is what was agreed to do this year. Did we complete it all? No, and that's okay, because some of these we did, so this is where. Oh, there we go. This is where I move things into place of things that were completed. There was an establishment of the Children and Youth Advocacy Subcommittee. I put organize an in-person commission retreat to share institutional knowledge. I think that's good to highlight since that hasn't been done prior. I did provide input on completed driving in place study prior to transmittal process. I believe the study has been adopted by city council.
In theory, yes.
In theory, right? Like they had an important conversation, was it last week?
They're gonna subdivide it, I think, because it has to now be implemented into ordinance, so there's
Right.
about 12 different proposals that'll have to each be ushered through as an ordinance.
Right. So I wanna, but it's still good to know here that you all got to see that right before it was going through this process. And then host and coordinate the 75th anniversary of Human Rights Day celebration. Then in progress and ongoing, the participation in the Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness, support for the Chief Equity Officer and Equity Manager in the implementation process for the CDOT ordinance. And I can write that out if you all would like me to as well. I wrote it out up top. Receive monthly updates from the Policy Advisor for Refugees and New Americans, Language Access Coordinator, and Title VI Coordinator. I added here our Language Access Coordinator will be our Title VI Coordinator. So Chris Macias will serve as both. And since you all, this is important to bring up here, Salt Lake City is trying to get Title VI compliant. So I'm working closely with Chris and we're hoping that the Human Rights Commission can have some kind of role in this. We don't know what that looks like yet because we're working with the attorneys on a steady process of what this looks like. How we'll handle Title VI complaints, because again, these things aren't already in place. So we're starting a whole process, and the Title VI coordinator / language access coordinator asked if, as we're going through this implementation process and deciding what it looks like, if he can bring things here to the commission. And I think that would be a great thing because Title VI handles discrimination complaints based on all the human rights issues we discussed here. So that is something to come. And then collaborating with the Policy Advisor for Refugees and New Americans on I was trying to basically say, maybe I could just take it out, on a community resource guide for refugees, because that's really what it is. But it's specific to that community. I did touch base with Roxana on that, and it is in progress. She got the one from the county, and theirs is very in-depth, I saw it. So we're probably gonna have, since we're moving away from subcommittees, have the point person, or if there's more than one person, to do this and connect with Roxanne. As she finishes this out, and she will, of course, when we have a point of contact, right, we still bring it back to the commission or have email communications on these as well. From the county, she does wanna make it more Salt Lake City specific, for one, that was one of the biggest things, and two, just she wants to get it vetted by the city departments and making sure that, just, these are the ones we need to have in this guide. And then incomplete are all of these listed here, facilitate community listening sessions led by HRC members. If you all still wanna do this, establish a new at-large commissioner for a minor under 18. Create a procedure for consistency on gathering ethnic and racial demographic data, aligning with the federal census guidelines, and transmit relevant policy recommendations to mayor and city council. So it's incomplete just because we didn't do it in this year. And then here at the end, the commission goals and priorities. Here's some things I started writing out. Did we want to move to having 2 events, 2 community listening sessions per year, or 4? Cause I wanted to see with you all, and it will go into the event with the West Side Coalition. I sent a document for that as well. If that happens in February, that would be the first event. Do you think 4 would be ideal, or anywhere from 2 to 4? I just didn't know if we wanna put a timeline here or just say facilitate community listening sessions.
My understanding was because you're going to every other month with the meetings, that you wanted to have the off month be devoted to community outreach.
It's the off month is just doing, because if you all plan a community event every other month, that's like 5, 6. I'm thinking what's realistic.
I thought the off month was going to be our working month.
Yes.
I thought every commissioner was going to take a particular topic under their wing and be responsible for being the voice of the commission with the community on that particular topic, gather information from other community leaders on that topic, bring that information back to the commission for action items. That's what I thought we discussed. We also did talk about community outreach, like the West Side program in February. We didn't talk, as I recall, how many times we were gonna do that in a year. We did talk about trying to make it citywide. In other words, if we do the West Side, we need to think about East Side, we need to think about the South, we need to think about the north part of the city, so that maybe over the course of 2 years, we touch on all of the various districts within the city for these community outreach programs. That's the general concept I thought we discussed, although we really didn't get into the weeds.
Well, I'm on the same page of what I have noted down. I'm not sure. The off months are just, or the off months. The off months of where we don't have public meetings, yes, that is for more work. That's why I said we can lean towards having. This is up to you guys. I'm just writing something so there's a draft in place so we don't have nothing
Right.
written down.
How about you keep it flexible and say 2 to 4 meetings?
Is that feasible, 2 to 4?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we could also set a goal for 4, and if we don't hit it, that's fine too, but I do think that trying, having the listening sessions is important.
Yeah, and we remember, we talked about trying to coordinate this with the various community councils.
Right, well, community councils aren't necessarily a place where the folks that maybe aren't, in decision making.
Yes, yeah.
I see
But I
your point.
don't think it would be hard. Like, we could do one at the Refugee Services Office, and do it in Somali. I mean, we have lots of community partners that we can partner
Lean
with
on the community.
to make this happen. And we don't have to make it complicated either. We can
Right.
just do something very simple and,
We actually talked about our open forum. Here we are, we invite people from the community, various organizations and leaders in the community, citizens, residents, here's what we are what are your issues? What are your concerns? How can we help advance your life
Right.
in Salt Lake City?
So that's a discussion for next year. Right now, we're just trying to figure out what do you want to put in as the
Right.
priority.
I get it.
I say 4. That's
2 to 4. I like 2 to 4. That one gives us a little flexibility.
Okay. I'll keep it.
Now, with respect to the 2023 goals and priorities, and the 2024 goals and priorities, I think we do need to expand this.
Oh, yeah, let me
And
finish.
we need maybe to talk about the realignment of commission responsibilities and what sectors of human rights, what areas of human rights we're gonna cover during the year. I mean, some of them I think will remain applicable. CDOT, obviously, one commissioner needs to follow that up. Homelessness, big issue, one commissioner should follow that up. Refugees and new Americans, that's an important issue. Gentrification, I'm not quite sure what we would do in that regard. That involves a whole lot of issues from access to affordable housing, to education. I'm not quite.
If the role of this commission is to give advice and feedback on ordinances, current ordinances that exist and ordinances that will come forward, I think that there is space there for us to give some feedback on some of the practices that are impacting or having or contributing to gentrification, I guess.
Also, Thriving in Place is going to be a bundle of different ordinances that need to get ushered through the city council, and it's starting to break down into an east-west divide. I mean, you saw just the.
No, we saw that at the public meeting.
The discussion on
Yeah,
that.
public meeting. There's gonna definitely be pushback. Now, I don't know how the council's gonna resolve that. You know, because I sensed that there was even a little bit of dissension on the council as to how they want, what the ordinance is gonna look like, what the zoning is gonna look like. Because they're talking about citywide zoning changes.
So it would be good, it would behoove you to have somebody on the Human Rights Commission that's kept up to speed on that topic. If there's going to be a package of 12 plus ordinance changes coming down the pipeline.
So all of these things, I think, consistent with what Jen has just said, needs to be focused a little bit on policy. Needs to be our role as advisors to the policymakers, city government, the mayor's office, and the council. And we need to be out there in the weeds, doing the investigations, figuring out what the issues are, so that we can both evaluate what's proposed to see if it's consistent with what the community wants, and advocate for changes that aren't yet proposed.
And I would also say educate the community on policy, right? The community may not have, the language in ordinance, right? It can be complex.
Right.
It's an opportunity to listen and to provide information to the community on ordinances.
Okay, so educating the community on policy. So can you envision like even the community forums using that space, not maybe only to focus on a topic, or well, I guess you can still focus it on a topic and relate it back to the policies maybe, so having that policy piece.
Yeah,
on
I could see, and I've done things like, I've run things like this before with parents in the school district, right? That is particularly around Title I law, so lots of law. And trying to help them understand what is in it and providing them an opportunity to give authentic and meaningful feedback on something, right? So it could be taking a piece of an ordinance and unpacking it and understanding it, right? And
How
having a
about
conversation.
facilitate public conversation and education on policy?
Okay, yeah, that's what, you saw me, so I was like trying to think of words. Okay, facilitate, sorry, Jason.
Educate. Facilitate and educate.
Well, oh, okay, then we'll switch to words, right? Because I said facilitate public conversation
Oh, okay.
and education on new policy. Just policy.
Policy.
I think
Or
that,
policies.
I think
I
that
think
encompasses
policy
what,
can be used as an umbrella term.
And do you wanna say on Salt Lake City, like, does this wanna be a specific, I mean, it's given, but I don't
I
know,
don't think you need to add more words and make it longer.
okay,
I mean, it's.
so this is something,
Facilitate public conversation and education on policy.
Again, I think all of these things need to be focused on policies. Need to be focused on our role as sounding board and an advisor to government, city government on policies
That were,
in these various areas.
that
That's
remind
the
me,
overarching, I think, mission for 2024.
that reminds me that you guys also said you wanted to have, somebody from the commission review, the transmittals before they go to the city
Right.
council. That would be a good thing to put here. I think
Yep.
the goals and priorities would be review the transmittal of.
Whatever's being proposed. Whatever's
What's the word
currently is
I'm
in the
looking for,
hopper.
though? The document that gets transmitted, is that ordinance or draft ordinance?
Well, I think it's a draft order. Remember we talked about at what stage do we wanna inject ourselves? Because there's a lot of debate that goes on before it ever gets to the city council. And I think at the point a governmental division or group wants to propose something, whether it's the planning commission, whether it's police, or whatever, at the point that they propose it to the council, that's when we need to be involved to review it and have input.
But
Because before then, it's probably more like a discussion item than
yeah,
anything
but
else.
what we also determined was that it's not something that can be discussed in a public meeting if it's still in that conceptual phase. So you wanna talk about it at the point where it's ready to be transmitted from the mayor's office over to the city council was the point where that's being transmitted. And you guys wanted to have a point person on this commission get access to it at that.
At the point in time when it becomes public. Anyway,
Can I just throw in, I feel like one of the big successes of the Human Rights Commission when I was on it a long time ago, was when there was an ordinance that was being proposed that was, going to harm the community. I'll just tell you quickly the story. So it was, there were complaints from the community about people's, selling tamales, really is what it was, but selling food on the street, right? And so the ordinance that was being proposed was going to take all of their equipment away, fine them $300, do all of these things. And so that was a lot of discussion that happened before it was ever transmitted to city council. And what it actually did was stop the ordinance from moving forward at all. But it took us advocating for why it was, why it was not going to be supportive of the communities that we were trying to serve and so on and so forth. So I wonder if, I think what I've seen before, it's difficult because there, ordinances are being created in other spaces and maybe we also, and this probably doesn't need to go in there, but we should also think about creating a culture where that there may be departments that would like to get input from the Human Rights Commission before they finish writing an ordinance.
so maybe one of our goals ought to be to build some coalitions
Yes,
with city departments where they
know who we are.
they seek out
Yes,
our input.
I believe Pamela has something online.
Yeah, just two things. I do need to hop off because it's almost 9 o'clock here and I haven't eaten since 11 o'clock in the morning. And but yeah, when we talked about this couple meetings ago, when we talked about the transmittal thing, I would just echo what Jenny's saying is that I think one of the goals I would see, and this is both with the community, but also with the city, is to increase our visibility. So I think getting out in the community and letting them know, lots of people have no idea that there is a Human Rights Commission. And so I think the public engagement will help, because if there are concerns that the community has about human rights, they could come to us. But I think also increasing how we could increase our visibility or relationships with city employees and departments. So that precisely what Jenny's saying is you don't want to wait until it's already sort of drafted into policy before we get wind of it. But if there's a way that, they would come to us and talk about the human rights implications of policies that they're thinking of adopting or drafting, so that it hasn't gotten that far down the road before we're like, wait a minute, have you thought about the human rights implications of this? So I think part of it, and it's sort of an intangible goal, but I think it's sort of increasing our visibility or seen as, somebody to come to if there are concerns about human rights or to think about the human rights implications of policies. So, that seems a little intangible, but that's what I would hope that we could evolve into.
So I'll just bring up that the discussion at the retreat was about how that's kind of the way things have been going for the last few years. City departments coming to us with this, we have this idea, whether it's human rights implications with this. There seemed to be a consensus in the room that you guys wanted to get more active rather than having the city departments come to the Human Rights Commission, discuss the human rights implications, and then have them incorporate that into their draft. But I just want to throw that out there, that that's sort of the way we've been doing things for a few years, but you were talking about transitioning to be more hands-on. So that's all for you guys to decide next year.
Well, it's a goal.
I think it's a
Right.
balance between the two, right? So having them come to us, but then also if it does get to the point of policy, an ordinance being drafted or proposed, that sort of transmittal idea is also a chance for us to see what it actually ends up looking like. So I think it's like the balance between those two.
So let's bring this back around to the document. As a commission goal and priority for 2024, how do you guys want to word that? And I'm right there with you, Pamela. I haven't actually eaten today, so that's what I'm doing right after I'm done here.
Like it can be, is it the relationship building piece?
Well, certainly buzzwords, increased visibility of the commission with various Salt Lake City departments that have a role in policymaking, very broad.
And I wonder also if there's something in there about increasing transparency in how the city functions, meaning, I mean, I know that there are lots of opportunity, that the city is always trying to find ways to get feedback from people on different policy. But I wonder also if this is just another way to build trust with the community, get input, and rather than, trying to address every single ordinance that, might be moving around, that we actually go deep into a few themes.
Let's go back to that really awesome line I came up with right at the top of my head. Let's put the word transparency in there too.
Well, I think the idea about, explaining policy to community members will increase that transparency and help them understand, again, the implications for their own lives and, livelihoods. And I think what we could also add to that is something, I don't know if we have to put that in the action items or the plans, but your idea of going deep, we could just select a few
Right.
policies that, we could review some that have been passed and sort of say, which are the ones that we think we should spend our efforts to reach out to the community and try to do education and engagement around.
Yeah. You got on that, Michelle?
I'm gonna probably have to do better when it's not late.
Michelle,
Yeah.
once you have massaged this a little bit more, can you send us a Word version of it rather than a PDF? So we
Yeah, I
can
sent
give
it
you
in
some comments.
PDF because that's the accessible way to do it, but yes.
Say what?
It's like an accessibility thing to have it in a PDF, because it's just, but yes, that's why. it's-
Oh, I see,
Yeah,
accessibility issues. All right, I can convert a PDF to Word and then give you some editing suggestions and maybe make some comments.
I believe this has to be.
Word is more accessible than a PDF, so I actually prefer Word documents.
Oh, great,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So when do we have to finish this?
We have to vote on it, I think, at the end of this meeting.
Yeah, the things that are in the content,
Okay.
the content
And
is what you're
I
voting on.
move that in the future, we give at least a week notice. Or a period of time besides, 7 hours.
Yeah.
I know, but you all, we're just voting on the content on it, what do you wanna do? Does that make sense? It's the recommendations that you guys are voting on. All the grammatical stuff, I can still run that through you guys, but the content of it is what matters.
Okay,
I'm meeting with the chair and vice chair on Thursday and they'll get their message and that'll be pretty much,
okay.
like, it's just the content, so that's why I kept it easy.
So I make a motion to approve this document then, as the content of it, and we'll move, that this is the thing we're going to be working on for the next year, and Michelle can work on the grammatical pieces of it.
I would recommend, just real fast, if I can interrupt you there, Everett. I would recommend that you take from the incomplete section about establish a new at-large commission for a minor under 18 and put that into your 2024 goals.
I
That
agree.
was one we didn't get to, that was
I agree.
proposed and we just dropped. So if you highlight it and make it one of your goals, I think it would be a better chance of getting it accomplished.
And I also think that the creation of a procedure for consistency on gathering ethnic and racial demographic data, that's something we're going to put into 2024 as well. Did we ever do anything on that?
I don't think we even discussed it after we. put it
Yeah,
into
I mean,
goals and priorities.
2023, I don't remember
So-
doing that at all.
We're
I
talking
can
about
just say, to keep it simple, continue working on 2023 goals.
incomplete 20.
Cause that's
Yeah.
what it
Okay.
is, that's all that it is, y'all, it's
Yeah.
not, I
Yeah,
just need anything new is what I need.
Okay.
So you all recommending policy, I don't know if, yes, we can prioritize that, but that's in the ordinance of what you all should be doing. So think of this report as something new, like, they wanna know something new when I present this to city council, like, what is something new you guys are doing, community listening sessions?
Okay,
That's
so
something-
for 2024, my big takeaways are changing the meeting times, changing the focus of the commissioners, coming up with more community engagement, having commissioners assigned to particular topic areas, facilitating better communication with city departments, so that we can provide feedback to them and they can come to us soliciting our advice. What am I missing?
Oh. This sounds like we're making it too big again. All we're wanting to do is just to prove that we're moving forward with.
So restructure the commission to restructure the commission to facilitate greater community engagement.
That's a big umbrella, it'll work,
And I think you can
Covers a lot of ground.
fit a bunch of those underneath it.
okay?
Whereas whereas cooperating with city departments more, that's just continuing the way it's been going for a while.
I do want to bring up one thing though. We want to think about additional topics for our investigation besides the ones that are listed on the first page.
So that's listed there, like I said, because it's a copy and paste. You aren't limited to focus on these topics. This is 2023.
I know.
Those were.
Does that make sense?
Those
This
were
Do we
sub-
want to say what 2024 topics are going to be?
You're doing away with sub.
Do you wanna limit yourself to topics, you know what I mean? Cause I don't want something to come up and then you're like, oh, I can't work on this.
Exactly. Yeah.
On it.
Okay.
Human rights, if you wanna, what I see, and that's why I'm kind of doing away with subcommittees, is, like, I know Everett is very much passionate about, like, Everett's role on this commission is because of being the disability liaison between the ADC and the HRC, and I would love to see him kind of branch out and explore that area, but it was limited because there's not a subcommittee for it, you know, so that's why I kind of wanna dismantle subcommittees so that you all have free reign of, hey, I really, like, I know with gentrification, no one in this commission now wanted to do it, and that's valid, right? You're not passionate about it. So I think subcommittees were limiting you all to topics.
So we already, I think, decided we're not going to.
Yeah, but it.
But that's what I'm saying, so we're not following that.
So if you take it, what David's talking about is when we decided to narrow it down to point people for issue areas.
Right.
And you guys are looking at a structure that's one commissioner takes an issue and ushers it through the rest of the commission.
Right.
And what I think Michelle was saying is you don't need to delineate what those issues are, right?
Yeah, because I don't want you to all to feel like you have to have it right now. You might see, something might happen at the top of the year and you're like, I really want to do something with this issue.
But that falls under what I had said about
I
restructuring
think
it.
that's fine. I understand where you're coming from, but there's a risk in
What
taking
is
that
the risk?
approach, that nothing gets done.
No, there are things that need to get done, so I have assignments ready to go.
Well-
Like, we have a whole list of things that get to be done.
Okay, all right.
So one, if I can finish with the 2024 goals, and Maria's here to kind of help out, one of the things, Damien, my boss, has been talking about is having, so they're working on, revising the policy for how honorary street names and historical markers are selected and how they're defined and how they're chosen. And one of the bodies they're possibly looking at for that project to oversee is the Human Rights Commission. Definitely, I would love to see with one of our roles, we don't have, I would love to see someone from the Indigenous community on this commission. That would be great in terms of just native land, just having that perspective, but again, this is a project that makes sense in this area and it allows creativity. So if you don't have a project, there's many projects that come up. But I don't think anything's not gonna get done because I know if something's not getting done, then I know, okay, Commissioner Jenny, Mary Glenn, you're on this project, what's happening? Or I can call to check in. Versus going to a subcommittee meeting, nothing's really being moved.
So at what point in time do you anticipate making these assignments or discussing these topic areas with the commissioners?
We can do it, like, how do you guys wanna see this communication going forward? Because I don't think email's the best way.
My recommendation would be in your first meeting in January, where you elect who your new chair and vice chair and any other officers you want are going to have. You also set up a calendar, and the calendar divvy up where over the course of the year, each of the commissioners is going to be plugged in for that month of their responsibility. That'll give you something to be working towards. But I'm not gonna be here, so you guys do what you want.
You keep saying that.
Okay, I have been doing this for 8 years.
Voice about that.
I'm so already halfway out the door.
Yeah,
All right.
We're also over time, guys. I think we should just make a determination and move forward.
All right, so I'll ask Commissioner Leda, is there something substantive that you think needs to be added into this document or?
Not beyond what my comments have already been.
so your biggest thing is the restructure of the commission.
Well, the two things I think that ought to be in here as a goal would be the restructuring we talked about and
Okay,
the focus on policy. And as Jen said, communication and transparency, being a resource. Those are best three, actually.
So can we go back to the screen where you're keeping the running edits? Can we see if your issues are addressed in that?
Well, I don't know what the running edits are talking about.
I-
no, I'm going to get it on here. So I have continue working on the outstanding 2023 goals and priorities. Increase commission visibility with city departments that have a role in policy making. Facilitate biannually or quarterly community listening sessions on different topics related to,
Okay,
The
advancing human
advancement.
rights. Mhm.
wait, related to event, what did that make sense?
Advancing.
Now I'm like. Okay, yes, just related to human rights, so maybe I can make that more simple. Serve as a liaison between the city and the community. By education, wait,
Yeah, I think that there was talking going on back and forth.
I know.
Was that the really cool line I came up with?
through education. I guess through public education
Through-
and
no,
transparency.
No, just
Public education that
educating,
we thought about.
educating the public on
Yeah.
city.
Okay, can you say it the full sentence?
I'm trying to remember.
Just- Cause I know, or you can say serve as a resource, is that the word you wanna use? I'm not sure.
No, this was the idea that I think that we had where it was combining the two, Commissioner Mayor Glenn's point about, I guess, translating city ordinance speak into the vernacular. But that's not what we were trying to make it so that it would be educating. I forgot, I really lost what I had said before, so. This
Well, why
one,
don't we just say serve as a liaison between the city and the community on human rights issues?
so I thought it was specifically about policy though.
Yeah, this one was focused on policy.
Maybe,
But like I said, you are
Educational
policy.
How about on policies impacting human rights issues?
this is where we also want to drop the transparency in there.
To increase knowledge and transparency.
I think we're getting loopy.
Yeah.
I think we just said on policies impacting human rights, that's a big enough umbrella, isn't it?
Yeah, and daunting.
City and community and policy. But liaising is a little bit different than educating.
Well,
I don't know, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, we'll have time to wordsmith, but I think the idea is.
Yeah, if the idea is here, that is what you're voting on, the content. I am still gonna have to review this and make sure it looks good before it becomes a public document. Like the words is not gonna change, but am I missing any content, substantial things in this?
Thank you.
Cause I wanna make sure,
I think this encapsulates Commissioner Lita.
Should it say
so
restructure?
where's the concept of the individual commissioners taking responsibility for specific issue areas? Where is that encapsulated?
I think that's.
so that's the structure. How we do things doesn't need to be in the report.
That's
What-
why the facilitating the biannually or quarterly
Okay.
community listening sessions on different topics related to advancing human rights in Salt Lake City. How you go about doing that is going to be the restructure.
Okay.
And I know not everybody will lead the listening session, but are you trying to say with the? You
Well,
can say a sentence on restructure, how do you want, restructure the commission to have,
To have individual commissioners focus on specific human rights issues.
okay, yeah.
Restructure the commission.
To have individual members.
Commissioners
Okay,
focus on,
I'm gonna keep it this, sometimes I don't like commission and commissioners, but we'll just fix it. Individual members have,
implement, certainly say
Issue area.
areas of responsibility or have, to have individual members, responsible for specific human rights issues.
Sounds like more words than you need.
I know.
Yeah, it probably
Maybe
is,
separate.
I know. No, because it's off the top of
Restructure
my
commissions
head.
have individual members,
Take responsibility for specific topics.
okay, we'll just leave it here for now.
We'll make it sound,
Responsibility for different.
Make it sound more better.
Wordsmith it a little bit.
make it sound more better later.
Okay, I will, yes, okay, so that's the biggest piece then.
All
And
right,
then policy is all through this, all through, yes.
final thoughts on this, does anybody have last minute additions, or should we go to Commissioner Bacon's motion?
I think online they're already.
All right, so Commissioner Bacon, do you want to rephrase your motion?
I move that we move this document.
So you're voting that we vote in favor of the draft document as presented. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Commissioner Mayor Glenn has seconded Commissioner Bacon's motion. So that'll take us into voting procedures. Because this is substantive, we'll do it by roll call. As the outgoing chair, I will abstain because this doesn't impact me at all. So let's go around the table.
Jenny Mayor Glenn, approve. Aye.
David Lita votes aye.
Okay, let's go to commissioners online. Commissioner Bacon,
Aye.
and Commissioner Silverman.
Aye.
All right, we're going to rule that with 4 ayes and 1 abstention that passes. That takes us out of voting procedures, and I think we can go to the next item on the agenda, which is the upcoming collaborative initiative. I don't think we have time to go into a discussion on it. So what I will ask, because I am facilitating this with the West Side Coalition, can we get this Human Rights Commission to designate 2 people to serve on a planning committee with the West Side Coalition? Who is interested in being on this planning committee for this public outreach event in February that's going to focus on homelessness and resources available to people experiencing homelessness?
I'll volunteer.
All right, so we've got Commissioner Lita is going to be on that planning committee.
I need to know when it's gonna get together.
I believe that we're
That's
going
the
to,
next step.
when we go from, because right now there's about 15 people in conversation. When we shrink it down to 5 or 6, I think we can schedule based on people's availability. The next West Side Coalition board meeting is on the 28th, the evening. We're going to
December?
of November. But that's going to be just presenting to the West Side Coalition that this is happening and kind of
I
conceptualizing.
may have a conflict that day.
It's okay, well,
Is that what they're discussing it though? Because according to the email, they said once we get a member, and I outlined everything you needed to know, so if you didn't have time to go through the thread, I gave you all the details. They want to get the committee first and then plan when they'll meet regularly.
that would be the committee. The planning committee will meet on its own, but this will just be to present to the board at the West Side Coalition that these are the people that are going to be doing this, and
So when will they start the plan? Yes, just for this meeting, so if David can make that, can David and I both be in communication so I can help
So-
support too?
So the idea is that we get the appointed people from the Human Rights Commission, we can then schedule a meeting that fits everybody's schedules for that planning committee. The thing that's happening on the 28th is just taking the information of these are the people, to let the board of the West Side Coalition only meets once a month, the 18 members there know that this is advancing. Because
Okay.
right now, we've been discussing this behind the scenes now for about 2 months, but we kind of need to demonstrate that it's moving forward, so.
But
So
can-
that doesn't require everybody to be present at the time, I'm just.
Okay, but can we respond to the email and say, hey, Commissioner David Lita will be on this with Michelle Marine? Type of thing, so they know ahead of time?
Yeah, that would work fine. And I mean, we're not really all that formal with the West Side Coalition. I know that I'm gonna be involved, Charlotte, Fife, Jefferson's gonna be involved, and from there we'll be able to communicate via email, start getting this committee meeting together and conceptualize what exactly we want to see, how we want to, how big, how small, if we want it to be listening session or if we want it to be panel based, all that kind of logistics that you have to do with the committee. Nobody's responding to the email, so we thought that if we got a couple of people designated, we can zero in and focus on these are the 5 people, so these 5 people can take that conversation and get things moving. Does that make sense?
So so you're saying 2 people from the commission?
I think it would be better to have 2 people.
I'll
because
volunteer
we already
for
have
that.
Yeah, I put
4
on
from the West Side Coalition.
Okay, I will, I just checked my calendar. I
I
should
mean,
be
because
able.
the idea was that you guys want to start doing these public listening sessions at the Human Rights Commission. The West Side Coalition has been doing these for a couple of years now, so I thought I'll bring these 2 halves together and you guys can take the training wheels off by getting the first one going. Partner with an organization that's already been doing it, so.
I'm in.
Yeah, 28th of November, I have conflict in the evening. If it's meeting during the day,
The West Side Coalition meets in the evening, so.
I can't do it.
It's not necessary, I don't think, for the whole committee to be there, it's just to let them know that a committee has been formed and
Yeah.
it's moving in the right direction now. Because they also don't respond to emails between monthly meetings.
And just so you all know, I do plan on having this commission running at full capacity by next year. We have some applications, so we're hoping that we can get these spots filled.
Good.
We think we've lined up somebody to replace me
Yeah.
from District 1, so that should be good.
So we may just need 2, but I just recently got one for 7. I have to check if it got submitted, but I know somebody.
It'd be nice if we could be at full strength in January.
That's my biggest goal, that's why I'm like,
We
don't
have to get it through the
stress.
city council by January.
Yes, and remember, our first meeting will be the 2nd week of January, as you all will, right, so that gives us, yes,
But it's December.
well, they can get on pretty quickly.
Okay.
As long as the letter supports and as long as they have space on the city council, they
Right.
can get in pretty quickly.
You guys are making me jealous, I don't think I've ever experienced a full commission.
Yeah, I think we can get there, I'm very hopeful, like.
All right, so I think with that business taken care of, unless, is there anything you need to discuss on it, Michelle?
On what?
That item 7 about the collaborative initiative, I just tried to rush through it quickly.
No, that was the biggest thing, right? Now we have the point of contact, so.
All right, so that's basically just the big hurdle there for that one, so we're already over time, but discussion, dialogue by human rights around the world.
Is there any bigger issue than Palestinians and Israelis?
There is not, and believe me, I have been way too neck deep in this for the last month, so I don't want to talk about it right now. 'Cause that's all I've been talking about.
Besides, it's a very difficult topic to find any common ground on, unfortunately.
No. Sorry.
I was just gonna ask, do we know if there have been any tensions here in Salt Lake between?
There was a protest and a counter protest,
Yeah, there was a pretty big protest on Saturday.
Right, I do know that, but I'm wondering if there's been conflict between.
no violence. There was some pretty testy, people staring each other down on both sides. A lot of inflammatory rhetoric back and forth, but as far as I know, I asked Chief Brown about this and he was saying that, they are on top of it pretty well, having a large police presence and keeping groups separate when they're showing up at events. Protest, counter protest on whichever side it is, but they're.
And Jason, the Utah legislature is going to pass a resolution on Wednesday or Thursday. So
Yeah, that's gonna be a little bit scary.
What,
but
the
it's-
city council's gonna pass a
No,
resolution?
no, the
legislature.
Utah
Legislature.
legislature. The Utah
It's-
legislature.
It's looking like it's gonna be pretty one-sided,
Pro-Israel.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Pro-Israeli?
yeah,
Yeah.
pro-Israel entirely.
Yep.
But yeah, the rhetoric that I've been trying to push mostly is that, that innocence, you're making, whatever. You cannot respond to a massacre with another massacre, that punishing innocence for the punishment of your innocence doesn't alleviate the suffering in any way. It's just kind of not both sidesism, but it's let's take a breath and figure out that how, anyway, I like I said, I've been on too neck deep in this topic for too long, so I'll take myself out of this.
Well, I don't think there's much we can add right now this evening, except express our sympathies and passion for those who are truly suffering right now.
Yeah, I agree.
On both sides.
I will say compassion fatigue is a real thing. I was hitting a wall a couple of weeks ago with late night media spots and stuff where it's just, it's hard when you have to spend several hours doing the research for a 90-second soundbite, and it's just having to be up on top of everything that's going on that day, and then get a few hours sleep and go back and do it again the next day.
I move we adjourn.
Sounds good. We got a motion to adjourn. Let's say.
So, second.
We got lots of seconds. All in favor? Aye. Anybody
Aye.
opposed? Be quiet.
Okay.
Good luck, Jason. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Everett. I'll see you guys all.
Okay, I hope so.